The Empress failed her tribulation, and with nowhere left to turn, she had no choice but to marry me, an old beggar. But what she didn't know was, I wasn't some ordinary beggar. I was a man from another world, trapped for 100,000 years. When I first got here, I activated a system. I thought I was about to hit the jackpot. Turns out the system glitched and dumped me into this cultivation world. Worse than that, to keep me safe, the system locked me inside a tiny pocket realm. I was stuck there for 100,000 years. Since the system couldn't sync with this world's cultivation path, it could only force me to practice swordsmanship from a high martial world, day after day, year after year. The loneliness wrapped around me like poison vines until I was almost driven insane. In the end, I not only mastered swordsmanship beyond anyone alive, I also ended up a little unhinged. Looking at the bustling Qingfeng city, I was so emotional I nearly cried. 100,000 years, a whole 100,000 years. I was finally out, and the very first thing I needed to do was head to one of this world's sects and get a pill that could restore my appearance. Right now, I looked ancient and half dead, like I was 1 foot in the grave. The system could keep me alive forever, but it couldn't stop age from leaving its marks on me. The donkey beside me suddenly spoke, and it sounded disgusted. "Old man, what are you spacing out for? Get into town already. If we're any later, the restaurants will be closed." That donkey wasn't ordinary either. It was the damn system itself, just in donkey form. Its name was Atong. Back then, to keep me from losing my mind, the system thoughtfully turned itself into a donkey and kept me company for 10,000 years. It didn't help at all. Honestly, it would have been better if it had turned into literally anything else. That donkey had a big mouth and was always begging for a beating. 100,000 years of bottled-up frustration exploded in an instant. I smacked Atong right on the head. I hit him so hard he spun 2.5 times in midair before crashing into the mud, groaning and unable to get back up. Atong yelled at the top of his lungs, "If it weren't for me, you would have been torn to shreds by dimensional turbulence." I let out a cold laugh and crooked a finger. The next second I had him in my palm, then I punted him straight out of the mountain gate. A moment later, his furious screaming echoed back from the distance. "You old bastard, just wait, I'm gonna make you taste system punishment." After dealing with Atong, I dusted off my hands and slowly made my way toward Qingfeng City. I hadn't eaten mortal food in 100,000 years. I'd almost forgotten what real worldly food tasted like. The moment I reached the city gate, the smell of steamed buns, wine, and roast meat hit me all at once, and instantly woke up my appetite. I couldn't help swallowing. Following the smell, I walked straight into a lavish restaurant, the Drunken Immortal House. Dressed like a beggar in torn-up rags, I immediately caught the server's attention. He looked me up and down, and his eyes were full of disgust. But he didn't dare throw me out right away. This was Qingfeng City, a place full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Nobody knew whether some shabby-looking nobody might actually have a powerful backer behind him. Then I shook the tattered pouch at my waist, and a crisp clinking sound of metal came from inside. The server's eyes lit up instantly, and every trace of disgust vanished from his face. He quickly put on a flattering smile. "Honored immortal, right this way, right this way. I'll get you the best window seat in the house." But the moment I stepped inside, the stench I'd picked up from being trapped for so long spread through the room. The customers in the hall all frowned, and the whispers started one after another. Who is that guy? Why does he smell so bad? A beggar actually dares to come to the Drunken Immortal House. Is the waiter blind or what? Throw him out already. He's ruining my appetite. Hearing all that, the corner of my mouth twitched in a way that looked almost sick. A flash of violence passed through my eyes. That aura burst out from my old, withered body like invisible pressure and swept across the entire restaurant. Everyone in the restaurant started trembling at the same time. The chatter died instantly. The whole place fell silent. Even people's breathing became cautious. I staggered over to a seat by the window and sat down. Then I casually slapped the table. "Bring me your best dishes and your best wine. The more the better."
越多越好.
I glanced over and saw 2 women at the next table. They wore gauzy dresses with graceful figures and thin veils over their faces. You couldn't see them clearly, but just from their bearing, it was obvious they were anything but ordinary. On a sudden whim, that crazy streak in me flared up again. I gave the 2 women a whistle. "Hey, pretty thing, looking that good, how about you smile for me? Ha!" The 2 women shifted slightly, but neither of them paid me any attention. They kept their heads lowered, as if they were still talking quietly to each other. Seeing them ignore me, I kept going. "What, not giving me face? Fine by me, ha 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 ha." The woman in yellow finally couldn't take it anymore. She turned her head slightly and rolled her eyes beautifully through the veil, just about to snap at me. But the woman in blue beside her lightly tugged at her and shook her head, telling her not to lose her temper. Not long after that, the whole table was filled with food and wine. Roast chicken, roast duck, braised pork ribs, and a jug of aged wine. The smell was incredible. But before I could even take a few bites, a slick-looking young man suddenly rushed out from the stairway. His eyes were full of fear, like he'd just seen something unbelievably terrifying. He scrambled to the window and jumped straight out of it. The 2 women from earlier instantly changed expressions. They got up at once and chased after him through the window. Seeing the fairy-like ladies take off running, I quickly grabbed a roast chicken.